Hey y'all, Grayson here and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you an update on all of my containers that I've planted so far this season. Now I've planted up about 12 different containers from sun lovers to shade lovers. I've planted up hanging baskets and wall hanging baskets, a whiskey barrel, and a few others. So what do you say? Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so here are my very first containers. Now these were planted up on May the 17th. And in these I have an August moon hosta, variegated ivy, and the burgundy coleus with that green margin. Now these have performed very well. The August moon hosta is getting buried in there, as you can see, by the coleus. I will begin to probably trail this ivy up the topiary a little bit later this season when everything comes out. Now this one has performed a little better than this one. This one, for some reason, I believe is getting just a little bit too much sun. As you can see, that coleus is getting just a little burned, and that's very unusual here. It's probably the variety of coleus. They've always thrived here. But yeah, I think these are getting just a little burned, and then the hosta is getting a little bit too much sun. And real quick, while we're up here, this bed is filling in very nicely with the coleus. Now these coleus get just as much sun, and they are absolutely thriving. And the vinca is just stunning. There's not one spot on it. It is in full blazing sun until about 2 o'clock, and it is just having a good time here. Yeah, so this bed, I'm very, very happy with it, how it turned out, how it's thriving. Okay, and here we have container number 2. Now these were also planted up on May the 17th. We have our August moon hosta again. We have our variegated liripy or monkey grass. Now I did plant some red coleus in here, but they are being overtaken by everything else. And then we have our pink impatiens. And I think that this is just a really pretty container. I think it's thriving down here on the lower patio in the shade. They have done extremely well. So what will happen after this season is the impatiens will die back, and then I'll be left with the hosta and the liripy. Now these are in basically total shade all day with maybe just an hour of sun. These hostas are performing extremely well. Now the ones on the front porch have just a little bit of leaf scorch, so that tells me the ones on the front porch, this variety of hosta, they don't like a lot of sun at all. Some hosta can take a little more sun, like this gigantic hosta can take quite a bit of sun compared to this chartreuse one. Just a little side note that when you're buying your hosta, make sure that you Google them and do some research on them so you know which hosta likes more shade and which hostas can take more sun. Container number 3 is the whiskey barrel umbrella stand here on the side patio. Now I planted up just a couple of plants in this. I paired the coleus, which has that salmony pink color, with the proven winners Coral Sun, Calibrachoa, or Million Bells as some people call it. And this mix has done very well. It has literally filled in this basket beautifully. And I think it's a beautiful mix. That Coral Sun is just beautiful, y'all. Moving on to container number 4, this is one of my favorites. Now this was planted up on May the 31st, and again, this is a shade-loving container. This is down again on the lower patio. We have the August moon hosta. We have the proven winners Jack of Diamonds Brunnera. Look at how beautiful that is, y'all. I paired it with the autumn fern and also the Better Homes and Gardens Indian Summer Heuchera. Just a beautiful, beautiful mix. I also popped in just a few of the dark-leaved pink begonias just for a little extra bloom. And of course, those have gotten completely swallowed up by all these plants, which is fine, but it's just nice to have a bloom, you know, peeking out here and in various different places. But these are some of my favorite containers here of the season. These are just beautiful. And again, this hosta and everything is thriving down here and pretty much shade all day. Next up was our 5th container. Now this is a sun-loving container. I started out with your everyday garden variety of yellow canna lilies. Now I already had some of these in a pot and I just divided them. These things just do great in full sun. It also has the proven winners Blue Moon Punch, Calibrachoa, and also this really dark velvety petunia, which I love. These things have really grown. And this is the other one on the other side of the bench. Now you can see this is the yellow flower that these cannas put off. So this one's blooming for me, whereas the one over here has not started blooming yet. And on to container 6. Again, this was also planted on May the 31st. We have our coleus, our firecracker coleus there in the middle. We had our bright orange impatiens and then our creeping Jenny. These have done extremely well. I have one on either side. There's one here and then there's one here. It looks like I have one orange bloom on this one here. However, this one is not wanting to give us any blooms right now, but they have been full of orange blooms up until about this point. So I think they kind of lull out and then they're setting buds to go again. So yeah, container number 6. On to container number 7. This is another one of my favorites. Now this is down here on the lower patio in the shade as well. This was planted on June the 14th. We have the Miss America Hosta in the back. We have just a common variety of your coleus. We have variegated ivy. We have a holly fern, our grassy texture, which is here. And I just love these containers. They have thrived in this location and I think they're doing great. I have one here and then I have another one right here. And container number 8 is our hanging basket. This has turned out beautifully here. Now remember, this had our centerpiece, which was our thriller, which was a spike. Our filler was our coleus here. This is just a common everyday coleus. And then we had our proven winners, Charmed Wine Oxalis, and that is just beautiful. And our creeping Jenny. Boy, that oxalis is gorgeous, isn't it? Now these open up in the morning and they kind of close up at night. Charmed Wine by Proven Winners. And y'all, for these to have been planted on June the 14th, these have really grown quite a bit. Here's the other one. And that brings us to our 9th container. This is the wrought iron wall hanging basket here by the front entrance up on the front porch. And in this one, I have just your common everyday variety of coleus. Again, I have the Charmed Wine Oxalis and I have the Creeping Jenny. This is a very small basket. This is probably 2 feet long by maybe a foot wide, if that. This gets just a slice of sun in the morning for maybe an hour, and then it's in total shade for the rest of the day. But this has done very well here. And of course, with this container being the size that it is, it keeps everything in check. But this is always a favorite up here by the front entrance. And this is container number 10. This is a sun lover. This is also one of my most colorful and one of my favorites. Now this is going to start out with our scarlet bronze canna lily, our purple vinca, the yellow petunias, and the powwow wildberry echinacea in the back corner there. Everything has thrived. The echinacea, maybe it got a little too much heat from the wall. It has not thrived. They may come back next year full and strong. That may be just the way that purple cone flower or echinacea performs in containers. I'm not sure. I haven't worked with it before, so I'll be anxious to see if those come back. Now, everything in this container will come back except for the vinca and the petunia. So I may just leave these canna lilies and the echinacea in. But yeah, they look fantastic, don't they? So these get fertilized once a week, and boy, have they performed very well. As you can see, this echinacea here, it's almost like it's had too much water. It's just kind of wilting down, but then there's a part of it here that's still green and living. So I'm not sure if they had a disease when I picked them up at the store, but they've pretty much done that in every container. Let me switch over and show you this one. Same exact thing has happened. Everything is thriving except for the echinacea. It's almost like it's just kind of wilted on itself. So we'll see what happens. But the vinca is amazing. Look at the color there. So as we can see in full sun, the sweet potato vine we know does extremely well. The vinca does well. The petunias, the canna lilies, the petunias, everything is just thriving in the sun. These are really colorful and spectacular. And last but not least, these are containers 11 and 12. These are stunning. Now we have our watermelon colored vinca. We have our Dusty Miller here spotted in. And also we have our Proven Winners sparkling rose that is just beautiful to me. And I love how that dark pink really picks up on that coral watermelon hot pink of the vinca. So these have filled in pretty quickly. They're about a month old, 4 weeks. These are small baskets. These are about 1.5 to 2 feet long by maybe a foot deep. And they are stunners, very, very colorful. And while we're at it, I thought I would just show you a few of my other containers. So these are the Endless Summer hydrangeas. I have 2 of them, one on either side of the swing. And y'all, they have just performed like crazy. They get tons of growth every year. They are absolutely enormous. You can barely see the pots that they're in. At some point, I'm gonna have to take these out of these pots and plant them in the landscape because they're huge. This hydrangea is actually growing up so tall that it's blocking the basket. I also have other topiaries here with ivy growing on them. Again, I would never put ivy in the ground, but I do love ivy in containers. This has been in this container for I don't even know how many years, and it goes dormant in the winter, and then I just go in and give it a little bit of fertilizer, and it takes off and comes to life again. Now this is by my back entrance. Here is a Japanese maple that I've had in this container for probably 15 years. It thrives here in this location. This is a gigantic pot. This video does not do it justice. And sometimes I'll underplant this with sweet potato vine or creeping Jenny. I've had calabricoa in it before, but it has just done very well here. As you can see, it's just kind of growing way up here. But I think it's been in this pot, like I said, I think 15 years. And I've transplanted it once before, but it's just always been right here. Every year it goes dormant, loses all of its leaves, and then in the springtime it just pops out with just fiery red. I believe this is an Emperor 1. So one of these days I'll plant it in the landscape, but I've just loved it here. And here is another ivy topiary. Now this is a really tall one. This also is on a wrought iron obelisk. And this ivy I planted in these big containers, I don't know y'all, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. They've been in these containers forever. I have one here and I have one here. Y'all saw me decorate this patio last week. And these have been moved all over these patios and decks. Sometimes I have them up on the deck, flanking the swing. Sometimes I have them mostly down here on this lower patio. But they have grown so much that you really can't even see these beautiful pots that they've been in for years now. I do come in and I do cut this ivy back to expose the pot. It reminds me a little bit of Cousin It because the ivy just comes down and just drapes down, but I love them because in the wintertime, again, it gives me a little more winter interest. They just go dormant, they stay green, the leaves do stay on them, and then they just stop growing, and then in the spring, presto, they come back to life again. And I neglect them. There are times I don't water it. There are times that it goes, you know, it only gets rainwater. So I do not have these set up on drip. If you've ever wanted something on your patio that's pretty much evergreen, go ahead and buy yourself an obelisk, plant some variegated ivy or some green ivy, and just leave it in the container. It will not jump out of the pot. It will not jump over into the flower bed unless you have the pot in the flower bed where it can root in. Then you would have a problem, but these have always done well for me here. And that's going to conclude today's video. I hope that you enjoyed it and were inspired in some way. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. It does help me to continue to grow my channel and bring more content like this to you. And as always, thank you for watching Gardening with Grayson. See you next time.